is Will Wiggins, JBlaze06. Just want to let you know the first part of this podcast got cut out because Skype decided it wanted to crash on us in the middle of our conversation. I really wish it did save because it has a save file, but it says the file's been corrupted and Skype decided it wanted to crash while we were having our conversation. So you missed out on some good stuff, but there'll be more podcasts and we'll touch on some of the stuff we talked about earlier. So enjoy.
We're recording now. We are back, everyone. Thank you for being patient. You probably only wait like a millisecond because it's going to be cut anyway. But we have another guest. His name is Kevin Kennedy.
Hey,
and basically the way we started is we talked about our gamer alias. So his is Bauer Kills. Mine is JBlaze06. We talked about the origins of where that comes from and why we're using it. And I guess we're on you now. So now the first question is, what's your origin? Why the 1KK?
I've had it since I was like 8 when I was making like an AOL name way back when.
Yeah,
so
well.
it's just what I ended up getting stuck with. I don't really like it, but it is what it is.
It's too late now, Kevin.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you by the 1KK now.
Exactly, and you can't change it on PlayStation. It's obnoxious.
Oh, I wanted to change it to Black Oni, but I got to keep it a separate thing.
Yep.
So there's that.
Remember when AOL first came out and it was just user numbers? Like you would just be like, "Welcome, user 349658321A." I mean, it could be worse.
It could be.
You could be stuck with that crap, man. I am a big fan of.
I thought I got video and I didn't. Lame.
Oh, so close.
It gave me like a little video thing, and then it told me I couldn't do it.
That's what I don't. Why?
I have no idea why.
That's
just
so
like
stupid.
It's just like now.
Fuck
Yeah,
you.
it gave me like a little icon of video camera, and then it gave me that other icon again.
Maybe is it doing it now?
Hang on. Nope.
All right, because as soon as you said that, I had went to like some other windows on my computer, and I was like, "What do you mean you could do it now?"
And I'll just stay on audio. That's cool. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, we'll deal with it later.
Yeah, it'll buff out.
It'll buff.
It's gonna buff.
So, I guess the other big thing now for viewers and for us is to know how we're all connected. So right now, Jordan Bauer and I don't know, should we call each other by our gamer alias or just by our names?
Man, we're on first name basis. We can call each other whatever, man. We'll interchange it, intertwine, you know. That was the gayest thing I've ever done. I promise I'll never do that again.
It's fine. I mean, you're just being recorded. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's just going out to the entire world digitally. No big deal. The world thinks you're gay.
So Jordan and I go back to like 2006, I think it was.
Back in the day,
6,
man.
Las Vegas was out, and we played that like every day.
Border Town. 2 words. Border Town.
Dude, the casino. Casino's where we wrecked.
Oh, man. And there's that Las Vegas University. The university map.
Yeah.
Shit was crazy.
That was like a big map.
God, I want to play that right now.
I don't have it anymore.
I do. But like 3 people play it. So approximately. 2 of those people might be me on different accounts.
On different accounts.
Just keep the servers active, you know.
And I met Kevin working at Apple.
Indeed.
It was 2 years ago, maybe?
What?
This was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, like it's probably 3 at this point because I left like
It's 2015.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Go by. I don't even.
It's crazy, man. It only gets worse as you get older. 27. I'm talking like I'm 60.
Yeah, I'm here back in the day.
Back in 2006.
Yeah, months just disappeared. Like it happens.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did last week. Like legit, just whizzed by.
Dude, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast this morning unless I documented and put it up on Facebook.
You did.
Which I did do today. It was a shrine to bacon.
It was a fuppic sandwich.
It was a fuppic sandwich, and my heart, actually, I could feel it crying tears of pure grease. Pure grease. I could hear a little voice saying, "Please no," because I've had like 3 or 4 of them, and this week.
Today?
No, this week. No,
Holy shit.
I do it though. It's only 16 pieces of bacon.
Whatever, you know. It's
Yeah,
only a few.
it is what it is. You know?
A little bit of fat in there.
But a little bit. But I'd never met Kevin until this. So what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing okay. I wish I could actually see you, but you know.
You can't see him?
Well, I can't see you guys at all. All I have is that little icon.
That is weird.
That is weird. You do have a web camera on your computer, I assume, though. Yeah.
I do indeed. I can see it. Like when I go to options, I can see myself in it. I just can't make it come up on a call.
That's silly.
It's weird. But
Maybe
anyway,
I'm doing something wrong. I don't think so, but
Shit, dude, that's how horror movies start, man. Actually, I've never seen a horror movie start that way. So
they should.
Great movie.
They should.
That way.
One day, Will Wiggins goes on Skype, and his camera doesn't work. What does he do?
Oh boy!
I know where you live, Will.
Wow. What are we doing with our lives right now?
So I guess that's a perfect segue into our next segment. What are we doing in our lives right now? I'll start this one off by saying I'm doing a whole bunch of crazy shit right now. One of them is this podcast. This is going to be
Epic.
This is going to be fupic. I'm really, really excited about this one. We have a lot of people lined up to be guests on this. At least one other person who wants to be a regular, but this weekend isn't going to work for him. We wanted to do this like a weekend or two ago, but things happened in between that time that didn't allow it to happen. So now that we're doing it, it's exciting because I get to see my friends on Skype. I don't have to leave my house. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing a bunch of digital illustrations. I'm still working at a place called Teach Plus, where I'm a graphic designer there, and there's a lot of stuff going on there that's been taking a lot of energy out.
And by graphic designer, he means he draws vaginas.
Graphically, they're graphic vaginas. They're not just vaginas. They're like, you know, they're designed vaginas. They have like. I don't know.
It's got all sorts of
you guys will see links to the stuff I've been doing. I mean, I have the video I posted of the Cintiq, and that's why I keep looking over here because I have stuff on my Cintiq as a second screen right now, and I did a video on that. I worked on this as much as I can. I have a bunch of illustrations I'm working on, and I'm going to be doing a video recording of one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but what about you, Jordan?
My God, let me see if I can remember. Essentially what I do is I'm a cloud security analyst. Kind of hard to explain exactly what that is, but I'm in the information security realm, and I do security assessments for cloud service providers like Amazon and Google and that crap. And I also do consulting work, helping companies achieve certifications so that they can, say by global standards, hey, we are secure as far as your information, like information security, which is something Sony should have done many years ago.
See,
that's how I actually got into the industry. And we do have actually some possible pipelines to them to talk, because PlayStation 4, as you all know, is going to be very cloud based, and like we're the first to market with what we're doing. I work for a company called Cloudy Assurance, and I also work for a company called eFortresses. But Cloudy Assurance is, right now, there's no validated criteria for the cloud, and like everyone is moving there. Wow. And it's a $150 billion industry, and there's no validated criteria or certification standard for the cloud. So the company I work for has an validation process, can actually certify for the cloud. So that's really what I do. It's pretty cool because I get to work from home most of the time, and then the rest of the time I get to travel to places. But it's really challenging, which makes it really rewarding, and I really like doing it. So that's really what I do. And then the rest of my time I play with my thumbs, twiddle them. Yeah, I play some video games. I play some guitar, and I die a lot online.
We all die a lot online.
A lot, yeah, but I take it to another level.
Nice.
These days with first-person shooters, I used to be good at them, but now apparently I'm approaching 75 years of age, and I just can't aim down the sights. I can't do anything. But you'll find I'd spent a lot of my time gaming with this guy right here.
Yeah.
We've got a long history. So that's a little bit more about me. Let's go ahead and ask you there, Kevin. What's going on with you, man?
I work as a professor at Bridgewater State University. I teach English classes. I also keep a blog going. And that's mostly it. I'm working at Best Buy for the summer, but that's about it.
Nice.
I love Best Buy.
I used to work at Best Buy 4 years ago. Shit, that sounds so weird saying that.
It is weird.
4 years ago, I used to work at Best Buy.
4 years ago. Yeah.
It's weird when you start talking about something that happened and it feels like a month ago, and then somebody else is like, dude, that was 3 years ago. And you're like, oh, man, now it makes sense.
That would be why I don't remember what her name was.
And I got an answer to the question. The Windows 8 thing does not work with group video calls, which is just great.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of dumb...
I mean, it's a Windows 8 app, so it happens.
Wait, but it's a computer you have.
Well, there's the regular desktop app, and then there's the Windows 8 app, which is like the full screen thing, which came pre-installed. So I just need to install the desktop app, and I can actually join in and see you guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next topic. So... we have 3 little bullet points within gaming. We can expand upon that at any point. Let's talk about our favorite game of all time.
Oh, don't get me started. I'll be here till the sun comes up and goes down again.
Well, let's do a brief saying of what our favorite is, and then we'll have like reactions from each person saying, yeah,
okay.
Cool. All right. So, Kev, you go first. Putting you on the spot here.
I don't know. My favorites change from like year to year. BioShock Infinite was pretty game-changing. That game was pretty amazing. But I don't know if I can call it a favorite yet because it just came out like a month ago.
Right.
I don't know. I'm probably just gonna go cliche, like late '90s kid, and just say Final Fantasy VII.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's a good choice, though. That's a good choice.
Really good too.
More than a good choice. I mean, sorry, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I loved 10. Like I to be honest, I only like saw people play Final Fantasy 7. Like I never got to play it myself. I have it on my I have it on my PS3. Like I don't have it on the hard drive anymore, but I have it on my account, so I can just like re-download it whenever and start playing it. But I
Last time I replayed it was when we were both working at Apple. I was like super sick for a month, and I played through the entire game and did everything. And I must say, it made just lying on a couch for like weeks at a time feel much better.
Nice.
I'm honestly surprised. I mean, it's 2013. Last time I played it was 2011, and I'm surprised I didn't develop bed sores. Like legitimately surprised. It still kills me, as you can see by my little triage there at Jay, that Will hasn't played and beaten it. And when you say that, Ken, can I call you Ken, or must it be Kenneth?
What? My name's Kevin. You're leaving some others out.
He's been drinking too much.
A little bit. I haven't had anything all week. Kevin, I mean that's not a cop out answer at all, because that game. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, Final Fantasy 7. Everyone says, well, I mean, that game changed the entire landscape of video games.
This is true.
Not just for the JRPG. The entire line for video games went from here to here across the genres. I mean, it really raised it. So that's a great choice, and I played it when it came out too. I still have the original disc, although I'm missing disc 3. It's really depressing. I don't know what happened to it.
I sold my old PS1 copy for a lot of money and just downloaded it because I could.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
pretty
legit.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I'd probably say Kingdom Hearts 2, because that's also pretty fantastic, sticking with the Square Enix theme.
Solid choice, too.
I think that was still only Square Soft by that time, Kingdom Hearts 2.
I think 2 is Square Enix. 1 is Square Soft.
Huh.
But I could be mistaken.
We're gonna have to have an entire podcast developed to my thoughts on how Enix ruined Square.
we had a little discussion about this before.
Oh boy, I'm passionate about it. Because the whole, and here's what's cool for any viewers out there that are still with us at this point. the reason that Final Fantasy was named Final Fantasy was because Enix was going to put Square out of business, and so they canceled a bunch of their games, and they pulled all their resources into making one final game, and it was called Final Fantasy. And obviously, we know the rest from that point. And then here we've got 14, well, maybe not that long, but 12 years later, and Soft at this point has the opportunity to put Enix out of business, or Enix, and they instead integrated them, and then all hell broke loose.
Shit got crazy.
Yeah, it got crazy, but that's neither here nor there. Kingdom Hearts 2 is a really good choice too, Kevin. That's a hell of a game.
Yeah, definitely. I love that game.
Great game.
It's now your turn. As he sips his drinky drink.
This is actual. It's called caramel whiskey, and I got it. I went on my first ever vacation, and I got it from a distillery where you can only get it from there. So pretty happy about it. Awesome. By the way, I'm technically not an alcoholic, so it's good. Yeah. My favorite game of all time. I have one that I'm going to say instantly, and that's Final Fantasy X. I mean, without any question. The only thing that I can say, though, like I feel bad saying just Final Fantasy X. I know it kind of sounds like a cop-out, but I have to say the Final Fantasy franchise with the exception of Final Fantasy IX. Now, I know a lot of people like Final Fantasy IX, and I loved it, but I didn't love it, Neither did I love 13. But I would say specifically Final Fantasy IV with Cecil and Kain. One of the best moments in gaming is when you're Cecil going from a Dark Knight becoming a paladin, and you have to face yourself on the top of the mountain. So I say Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Those are my favorite. It's hard for me. I know it's a lot. It's quite a few. Here we go. We're gonna accept a video here from
Nice. Kev. There we go.
Yeah, so to download the other one.
Hell yeah! What's up, man?
That's what I'm talking about.
What's up, bro?
I still got still images of you guys, but I'm assuming that'll change in a minute.
It'll change in a second. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're coming through clear, man. What's up?
What's happening?
I'm telling you, though, I had such powerful connections to each of those titles. I would say if I had to cut some out, I would probably say 7, 8, and 10 if I had to choose between those. But really, one of my earliest memories, we have it on home video, is me opening 2 games. One is Super Tecmo Bowl and Final Fantasy. I was 3 years old.
Nice.
And I flipped when I got Final Fantasy. It took me like 3 years to beat it, but I did.
I was going to say, how did you understand the concept of an RPG at 3 years old?
It took a long time for me to get through that game, man. I'd also say that this is going to surprise you. You probably will. Myst, the original Myst, is up there. I had a really, really, really great time with that game when it came out, but nothing touched the Final Fantasy franchise for me. It actually became part of who I am. But especially 10. I mean, I have such a strong connection to 10.
10 was like looking back at 10, like playing through it, I was like, all right, I can understand what the craze is about these RPGs. Like, I really like this, but like looking back at 10, like we talked about this before. Like the story is so deep and involved, and like there's a love story. It's not just like a story. Hey, I'm a guy and have a sword. I'm gonna slice shit. It's like there's like an emotional connection that the characters develop over time, and like the game is long, of course, but like you start seeing changes throughout the characters. You start seeing all these developments, and like that scene when they're in the water and they're having that moment.
I have chills. Like when you
like
say
legit,
it,
I just gave myself chills.
Actually, I have chills. Yeah. That game. I'll say this: like I can't believe how deep that game is. Soil. I tried to get Soil to play, and he played it for like a couple hours. He's like, "Oh, it's not that good." I'm like,
you gotta get
understand
through those first parts.
Yeah, but my favorite fictional character ever for anything is Auron from Final Fantasy X.
He's such a badass.
I mean, the
no
dude,
question.
For those of you out there that doesn't know, the dude has an attack that you unlock later in the game where he summons a tornado. Shit goes into the tornado, and the whole game, because he's like a wandering Ronin, he has this giant-ass flask on his hip that's full of sake, and while these things are in the tornado, when whoever is in the tornado that you called in on, he just like takes the freaking large flask of sake and just casually just tosses it into the freaking tornado and it lights on fire. It does like 9,999 damage to like everything, and it's just ridiculous. But his character is so deep, and I won't ruin anything for anyone that hasn't played that. But anyone out there that has been on the fence at any my life of playing it. It's coming out in HD soon. It is my favorite game of all time.
Which kind of confuses me because I played it on the PS3, like my old one that could play PS2 games, and it looked just as good as most PS3 games still. So I'm not sure what they're doing when they make it HD.
Yeah,
that's a good. My PS3 doesn't play PS2 games anymore. Sad face.
I don't know.
My PS3 that was able to do that, there was something going on with the graphics chip, and I had to replace it. And we're not going to get into the situation with this generation of consoles because they've really dropped the ball in terms of like quality over the long term. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, they're like when you upscale and like turn that smoothing on for certain games, like they look really good.
Yeah.
I also have an honorable mention to this one.
Mortal Kombat.
Man, I have such a strong history with that game. When I have an older brother named Chris, and he's 6 years older than me. When the first one came out in '92, I was 6 years old. I wasn't allowed to play it. When my parents thought, if you're over 10, you're 12 years old, you can get it. My brother was 13, and I got to play it. And he used to take me to the arcade. We used to play it. And from that point forward, up until this day, I've still just every Mortal Kombat that's come out. I mean, I try to pretend Mortal Kombat 4 doesn't exist, but I played it. I did play it.
I played it too.
Yeah, it was...
Could have been worse. I mean...
I don't know.
Theoretically, it could have...
I don't know, man. That's like...
I mean, they did make that like Sub-Zero game, and that was worse.
That game sucked. Me and my brother tried our hardest to love that game, and we just couldn't.
Mythologies. The only good thing about Sub-Zero Mythologies was it technically introduced Quan Chi. But yeah, saying that game or that technically could be worse. Mortal Kombat 4 is like saying the Jacksonville Jaguars could technically be worse. I mean, technically, but it was pretty damn bad. Yeah. But I still love that series. That series is really good too. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think everyone knows what my favorite game series of all time is. Some of the viewers won't know, but I have to Metal Gear. Exactly.
You and my roommate. My roommate just bought the like $70 version of Revengeance to get that lamp.
All right. I want to touch on this just for 1 second.
Sorry.
First of all,
just the way you put that was hilarious.
First of all, this is my ride-in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance action figure. I still haven't opened yet, but I will open it. I was going to do an unboxing video, but I didn't feel like doing it.
Colonel, open the box. Open it.
But
seriously.
I'm so upset about the situation with the collector's edition for that because I'm a big Japan nerd, of course. Their limited edition has the white action figure of that, which looks so badass. It has
I've seen that. Yeah, it's sick.
It's so
it's sick.
It has art from Yoji Shinkawa. I think that's his name, right? It has artwork from him. He did like all the character designs and artwork for all the Metal Gear Solid games. It has that as the box art for the entire thing, and like everything about it is just so beautiful. And like, we got a fucking lamp.
It's a pretty cool lamp, to be fair.
It's a cool lamp, but I have a lamp. It's right here. I don't need. Why would I need another? Like,
I think it was, as far as collector's edition things, that's pretty cool though. I mean, it's different. It's not the usual like art book and action figure.
It's different. I'll give them that, but
a lamp. Come on. I mean, like, it's, if you want to purchase it, cool, but like that's not really exclusive item. I would much. Go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it looks even better in person. Like I'm almost positive it does, but to get that white version of that action figure, you have to do all types of shit. You have to have pre-ordered it from Japan. You have to get it shipped over, and like shipping costs an arm and a leg. You got to wait for that to go through whatever customs and like.
You have to blow Hideo Kojima,
basically,
more or less.
And I was sad about it.
Yeah,
it's over.
What are you guys? Just real quick, what are your favorite pre-order bonuses? Like when the game, because I'm not really into. You get a new weapon skin. Although I'm not gonna lie, I did like the pistol from Battlefield 3's pre-order, but I really like soundtracks and concept art. That's for me. That's like my favorite by far. is that combination or one of those two. I really don't get into like the new skins or the new DLC, which always, or tends to be like extra cutscenes and stuff like that. I just never was really too into that. But what do you guys think are the best like pre-order?
I think something physical is definitely cooler. Like when it comes to collector's editions, I mean, it's nice to have something to show for it. Like you said, like a book, something like that. DLCs, I don't know. I see it as almost just a cop out. It's like this thing that is in the game already because it's a tiny unlock
on disc. We'll unlock it for you.
On disc. But if you want to wait to hear the reviews of the game before you purchase it, like a smart consumer, you just have to pay for this.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I agree with that. The on disc stuff is getting a little bit ridiculous. I wish
the fucking king of that.
And I have pizza. So I will be back.
Topic.
You'll be back? All right.
We've lost a man to pizza. It's a good way to go down.
Yeah,
good way to
go
down.
He's gonna be eating his pizza in between some parts. So
I was this close to ordering pizza tonight. That freaking new cheesy bread pizza. I got a thing in my email from Pizza that was like, "Hey, look how good this is," and I try not to eat out this week. Instead, I threw a hot dog in the microwave and I put some blue cheese and scallions on it, and then I don't even know if I chewed it. I just let it slide down my throat. It was so good. Put a little sriracha on there. Sriracha and mayo. Save some money. Got to let the lady shop,
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. All right. So I think the next thing on our agenda,
yeah, are we?
Yeah, right. It'll happen. Whatever. It happens.
Oh, it looks like what are we playing now?
Yeah. So this is a good thing to talk about because we just finished a game last week. Well, we did, but we
did together. No, we played it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of controversy behind Dead Space. I'm like, oh, it's not a return to survival horror. Blah blah blah.
It's not good.
It's not good because it's not scary anymore. Listen.
Way overreaction. Huge overreaction.
Huge overreaction. Dead Space 3 is a. I love Dead Space 2 more because that just
of course
raised the bar beyond anything that I would have expected. Dead Space 3 is a great game. The fact that they added that co-op, I hadn't tried any of the co-op until like literally that last chapter that we were on when we were playing, and like it was so much better than I thought it would be. Like you got extra cutscenes, like you got extra dialogue in there.
Totally different.
It's a totally different way to play.
Not even like, and what was so cool is it wasn't even extra cutscenes. It wasn't even like extra dialogue. It was totally different experience because I went through the game from start to end, single player, and one thing that really gets my gears going is when these reviewers it's almost like choose specific games to hammer on. Oh, Dead Space 3 is no longer survival horror. It's terrible. 6.5. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I would give Dead Space 3 at the lowest probably an 8.75. It started off a little bit slow. I mean, their main villain was a little bit kind of a cardboard cutout, but the gameplay is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. The story itself was really, really, really good. And then I didn't experience co-op until said recently until I helped him beat the game, and something I really enjoyed was that everything that you see on the other character screen is exactly what they're doing. So you could see them go into the suit kiosk for instance, they're not just like standing in front of it like that,
Right.
You could see them, going through their inventory. You could see them doing, going to the bench. You could do, all of those things. But what really made it truly unique to me was the fact that on my solo I didn't know shit about Carver. He occasionally came through on the radio and was like, "Oh, I'm going to help these people go from A to B," and I'm like, "I don't care."
Exactly.
But I just like, I don't know about you, except at the beginning they dangle a little something in front of you about a message with him and his child. But when I played with Will, it was a totally different experience. I mean, the cutscenes were different, the dialogue was different, the way that played out were different. It was really quite a surprise, and we're getting ready actually to go back through from start to end, and I can't wait because from what I've seen, it's going to be a totally different way of playing the game and a totally different experience.
The weapon upgrading system in that is, you get to a point where you don't even need to do it that much, but like it's so much fun to play around with all these different combinations of like you can add attachments to the end of the gun, you can add attachments for like ammo sweeps, like you can do all these different things. And the other thing about it too is a lot of people complain about it's not scary anymore. It's not a return to the survival horror, but you got to think about the progression between Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Like, in Dead Space 1, you're playing as an engineer who literally has no idea about anything that's going on out there. And that's the same as a player. Like, you go into that series and you don't really know what you're expecting. So you go through and you're learning how to cope with the idea that these creatures trying to tear you apart, which they probably will do a bunch of times, and the deaths are gruesome.
You will be brutally butchered. Like, brutally, where you're just sitting there, you're horrified at what's seeing happening, to the main character of the game that you love. But obviously there's, try again and all that stuff. But yeah, first Dead Space was one of the best survival horror games ever. That game scared the hell out of me.
Don't even get me started.
I have a phobia of vents. I remember Jay calling at a Penn State party being like, there's a vent above my head, I'm terrified. I remember actually calling you to tell you I was like nervous because there was a vent above my head.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
And then like in Dead Space 2, like you start seeing the character develop more into someone who can cope with this more. He can deal with these necromorphs now. He can do all this stuff. And then Dead Space 3, you are now an engineer soldier hybrid. Like you're the epitome of what it is to be a badass in that day and age. So there's some criticisms about like the way the story advances. Like, I'm going to find my group. Okay, now I'm not with my group anymore because I fell off a cliff. All right, I found you guys again. Oh, but you guys ran off in front of me. Like, it's literally that bad. Like, it'll happen every 5 seconds. So every time you get reunited with someone, and you think, like, there's so many different ways they could have really made that interesting if they had just, like, had ways that you could work with the AI, but that would have been too hard, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll say this. I love Dead Space 3. Loved it. They dropped the ball in a couple key areas. I think one of the areas that they dropped the ball and that just frustrated the hell out of me was all the vertical sections. The sections where you were connected to a wall and you had to go up, you had to jump left, and you had to jump right, and you had to avoid stuff. And it's okay. You have one or two sections like that, that's fine. But they did it quite a bit throughout the game, and they clearly weren't experts in doing that, because it's not that I don't mind a challenge. I beat Dark Souls twice. It's not a big deal. But when you're getting screwed over because the mechanics are poor, and it was only in those sections that the mechanics are poor, but they were frequent enough for it to actually, frustrate me to the point where I was just like, why are these in the game? It just almost felt like they threw some areas in there just to be like, oh, we can do some uphill sections. But I mean, other than that, I can't really think of too much of the game that I didn't love. I mean, it's such a what bothers me about all these reviews is that it's such a legitimate entry in the Dead Space series, and from reading all these reviews, you'd think it was like Resident Evil 6. I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. No offense. I know you like Resident Evil 6. I like it, but I don't love it. Not by a long stretch. It's very different than the others. I mean, I don't know if you would classify it as a legitimate entry in the series or more of like but Dead Space 3 was a really good entry in the series, and I was really, really happy with it. I'm looking forward to 4, and then we'll talk about. I mean, I could talk about the DLC now, quick, if you want, but we can talk about that later too. I don't want to get too.
Probably talk about it later. I think. What have you been playing, Kev?
I just started playing Torchlight 2 on my new computer, and it is insanely addictive. Like, I got it yesterday, and I think I've already played for like 10 hours, and I'm grading papers too. So that's between grading papers.
Definitely. Topic right there. Grading papers, playing games.
Yeah, pretty much. Been playing Soul Sacrifice on my Vita.
Nice. You just
how is it?
He just came.
How is it, dude?
It's good. It gets really, really like insanely difficult really fast, but that was kind of expected.
Kind of how Dragon's Dogma is, yeah.
What was that?
So that's kind of how Dragon's Dogma is. It starts off like oh, you need to go to this place down the road, and you need to kill these bandits. And you're like, okay. Then you go, and the bandits they straight up JFK you for like,
yeah.
So you get 18 levels, and then you're like, I can finally move down the road. But it sounds similar to that. But I don't mind a stiff challenge, especially you saw my reaction. Like, I've been wanting to hear about that because I haven't played it. I haven't gotten a Vita yet, and that game looks legit.
Yeah. It's really fun. It doesn't have like a hub world that just sends you out on missions.
Okay.
But they're big. Like, the harder bosses will take you like an hour to beat. because you're basically just running around like trying to keep your spells charged while you're and trying to revive your companions while they hack away at it for a while.
Right.
But it's good. It's really good.
You ever beat Yzermat in Final Fantasy 12?
What was that?
Yzermat in Final Fantasy 12. That's like you had to save because you couldn't beat him in one session unless you had like 6 hours at your disposal.
I never finished 12.
Really?
Yeah.
I can understand. Very, very different game in the series for sure. Great political game, but definitely very different as far as Final Fantasy is concerned.
First playthrough, I got my PS3 like halfway through the game and just didn't play it again for months. And by then, like I couldn't go back. And then I tried to play it again like a year ago and just didn't get all the way into it because it is a dense game.
It's more than dense, man. You need like a notepad and like a freaking PhD in history. But it is solid. I mean, like if you know what's going on, which is damn near impossible, it's brilliantly worked out world and story. But with a final hunt in that game, you fight this dude named Yzermat, and there's actually a save point that appears during the battle because he takes so damn long to beat. And at any point, he can just be like, I'm gonna one hit kill you. Exactly, and so it's like extremely frustrating.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry to take away from your soul sacrifice description there, but
no worries.
That's cool. Bosses take quite a bit to kill in that game. That's not bad. It's a solid hour, especially on a handheld system. That's something.
Yeah.
So I assume you're pretty satisfied with your Vita.
Me? Yeah, I love my Vita.
Do you have a DS too?
I do have a 3DS. Yeah.
Okay. My first question to you is, what do you play more and why?
I haven't turned on my 3DS in like 3 months. So.
Wow. Well, I heard Fire Emblem is a kick-ass game. Is that only on Wii U?
That was the last thing I played. That was only on 3DS.
Okay.
And you also can't get physical copies in this country still because Nintendo is doing that apparently.
What? I can't wait to talk about the dude.
Oh man,
stakeholder. I can't because both it's so uncalled for and it's so called for.
It's so good
at the same time. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. I can't start talking about that now, but I'll talk all night.
So, what are you guys' most anticipated games that's coming out? Just like the top 2 that are coming out this year.
Jeez.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say The Last of Us.
Of course,
yeah,
I mean that's one. I remember that was Project Untitled. That I can remember probably over a year ago. My girlfriend, saying, "Oh, what is that on the cover of the game in the magazine you're reading?" I'm like, "That's The Last of Us. Is the article I'm reading." And she sat down, and my girlfriend, she tries to support me. She appreciates good storytelling and stuff like that. But as far as actually playing games, she couldn't walk. The other night, like I tried to show her LA Noire, she couldn't even walk straight with the main character. I mean, she just couldn't do it. But she's told me that she would be more than happy to watch me sit down and play through that game from start to end because she read the cover story in Game Informer from like start to end. And normally she's just like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, fuck it. Oh, that's cool," just kind of like that's awesome, man. Enjoy it, But definitely The Last of Us. I mean, I still have not seen the infamous clicker video because I don't want to see the enemies. I just don't like.
It's so cool.
I'm sure it is. Like with games that I'm really really excited for, I won't read anything. I'll stay away from message boards. I mean, even details that are revealed within like the first month of knowing the official title and all that stuff. I won't really read anything about the farthest back that I read about that game was that initial cover story. I know it has to do with a fungus.
They released like the promotional videos that talked about like what the actual fungus is in real life and like what it does to insects and how that applies.
I did see that the BBC video
cool.
idea.
So cool,
creepy though, and really really good place to jump off to start a game.
Absolutely,
I would definitely start with The Last of Us. I'll let you guys talk before I second one, but yeah, definitely The Last of Us is going to be, and apparently there are spoilers out already spoiling the ending, which is
ridiculous.
More than ridiculous. I mean, what is wrong with people? Where not only are they going to go ahead and crack into a demo code, but they're going to ruin it for people a couple months ahead of the release. I mean that's the type of thing that
it ain't right.
It's more than not right. It's I mean, there are going to be people that read that and they're going to not buy the game because they know the ending. I mean, there are people out that even though they really want to play the game, if they find out the ending, they're going to lose all desire to play it. Now, that's not every gamer, but that's going to be even if it's a small percentage with how much the video game industry is struggling right now, that's taking directly away from the revenue from the people that work 20 hours a day, 16 hours a day to bring titles. And I don't know if the game's going to be an absolute hit or if it's going to be mediocre or whatever. I have very high hopes for it because it's Naughty Dog.
I have almost full confidence that they're going to nail this out of the park. Like
it's Naughty Dog. It's Naughty Dog. Not going to be terrible.
Yeah. Been playing their game since Crash Bandicoot. Man, remember when PlayStation 1 came out and you had Crash Bandicoot? That shit was off the hook.
Yeah. That was the one game that everyone was talking about, no matter what.
And a medieval. And if you're a total nerd like me, Intelligence Cube.
Oh, I love that game.
I went there, man.
Oh,
Never
Intelligence Cube
in my life have been more happy to be crushed by a cube. Ever. Yeah, back in the day.
And it's really hard for me to pinpoint what my next biggest game that's coming out, because there are a lot of games coming out this year that I'm really excited to get my hands on. But
I'm gonna say Destiny.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Destiny looks unbelievable.
But we know so little about it.
There's information out there. It sounds interesting.
I mean, there's definitely information, but I think that what we know so far is that it's it takes place in a world where there's this giant cocoon above what is left of the Earth, and you play as a character it's kind of like a fantasy type of game, but in the same way it's kind of like a sci-fi game, and it's like a shooter, and people can join you in and out, so it's almost like an MMORPG, and they have all these elements that make it sound amazing. And Halo 2 was one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. I played that until I was sleeping with the controller in my hand.
Thank you for not saying Halo 1 or 3. God. Only Halo, in my opinion, that ever even came close to the critical acclaim was Halo 2. That game was a masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece, Halo 2.
It was everything you could have wanted in the game, because the online was so it didn't have any kill streaks or anything. The game was so fun online that you played it just to play it, because it was fun. And that's something that a lot of companies and a lot of games aren't really nailing right now. It's just getting that fun factor down.
Yeah.
Really, really important, I think.
I used to play four players in 4 rooms, 16 player LAN in my college dorm my freshman year at Penn State. And there was this one kid that used to play with us. His name was Brian Neville. He's the most annoying kid in the world. He'd one up you everything you'd say. You would say "Yo, I visited Europe," and he'd be like, "Yeah, well, I hang glided into Germany from the Alps," and you'd be like, "The actual story."
That guy,
that guy, you know, and whoever's team he was on, we would just team kill him, and he would just storm out of the room and go to just a lot of good memories of Halo 2. Not just for team that kid, although it was awesome, but playing Zanzibar, man, that game was awesome. That game was legit, because I hated Halo 1. I hated it because
I loved Halo 1, but Halo 2 was the pinnacle of love for me.
It was great. My issue with Halo 1, Halo 1 for me, I know I've told you this a lot of times, but at the time I had played Red Faction, and I was a huge fan of the original Doom. Still will always be a huge fan of the original Doom. Well, that nothing will ever surpass the original Doom, and Duke Nukem 3D is my favorite first-person shooters ever. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I thought Halo 1, when I played through it, I was like, it's good. You backtrack through a lot of the same environments. The enemies were But, the explosion to it, oh my God, I was just what is going on? Red Faction is on the market with Geomod technology. It's just, this game is phenomenal, and Halo doesn't even touch it. But then Halo 2 came out, and I played it, and I was like, I can't argue with this. This is just beautiful, and I played the hell out of it. But Halo 2 is the only one in the Halo series that deserves that critical acclaim. But that's a great call out there, because Halo 2 is more than legit. That game is a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything else you guys are really anticipating for this year?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was just thinking, so go ahead.
I was going to say, obviously, this sounds kind of like a cop-out, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is right there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The reason why I say that, and you got to understand something, this is coming from a guy who hated Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto 4 was nowhere. It was a shell of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which to this day, in my opinion, is the greatest Grand Theft Auto game of all time.
Without a question.
No, it's not. It's just not. I mean, the customization abilities, gang territories, racing across town on your bicycle to defend your territory with a fat dude because you didn't work him out and you just felt like eating cheeseburgers at Chokey Chicken, and just such an awesome game. Grand Theft Auto 4, it was on PlayStation 3, but just thought it was such a letdown. But because it's been so long since it's come out, and because I think they knew when it came out, even though it was a huge success, I think they knew they could have done a lot better. Everything I've seen so far about Grand Theft Auto 5, especially, I think what makes me really excited about it is the fact that playing Red Dead Redemption, one of my favorite game. Even to this day, I just popped it back in the other day, and I just got chills. Seeing them take what successful in Red Dead Redemption and apply it to Grand Theft Auto 5 and knowing that they've got something serious up their sleeves for Grand Theft Auto 5, it just looks like that could be one of those rare cases where a game doesn't only meet the hype, it surpasses it.
Right.
And so, but other than Grand Theft Auto 5, I would say that my most weighted game for this year is clearly Final Fantasy X HD. It's my favorite game of all time. I played through it a billion times, but it's part of who I am.
Okay,
and
that's fair. Yeah.
To have trophies.
Yeah.
To have trophies to that, and word is they're going to do the PAL version, where you can actually bring in Yojimbo and got penance in one hit if you pay him enough and you're lucky enough to get it. I mean, the fact that penance is even in the game,
Yojimbo was in the US version, wasn't he? Because I remember.
Yeah. Yojimbo was in the game, but penance wasn't. But penance is so impossibly hard, but because Yojimbo is such a badass that if you get his ultimate attack, you can kill even the hardest boss in the game one hit, but you have to do all this crazy stuff to get him to even be able to have that option.
Right.
But just the fact that we'll have the ability to fight penance, it's going to be the PAL version, the updated graphics, a full trophy system. It's just, for me, it's more that I get to experience that game. That game is surreal. It's like a waking dream, and it's just so beautiful in so many ways.
Right.
I too try to pretend that Final Fantasy X-2 doesn't exist, with the exception of the perfect ending. They need to rename it Final Fantasy Charlie's Angels too.
I think it's just fun.
So ridiculous.
It's no masterpiece, but it's fun.
It's fun. There's no doubt that it's fun, but for me, the issue is how they changed the inherent character of Yuna in that game. They
did.
She was there was one person, and I understand time goes by and then you change, but they turned her into a total teeny bopper, pop star. It was fun. It was as far as being an RPG, it was a great RPG. But compared to 10, but it was completely and totally worth it for the perfect ending, because that made everything okay at the end of the day. But that would probably be my most awaited game outside of The Last of Us of this year is Final Fantasy X HD, and a lot of people are going to be like, boo, but no, that's me. That's just me. There are a lot of great games coming out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is there another one that you want to touch on, Kevin?
I don't know. Maybe Shin Megami Tensei 4, because that's coming out in June, and that's going to be ridiculously fun.
And what is that coming out on?
3DS.
Okay. So that would be the reason why
they pretty much only come out on handhelds now.
Yeah, basically. Persona Arena and...
It's also coming to my deck. So.
Anyway, on to the gaming news. A lot of this probably isn't as relevant as it was last week.
Because we're a week late on the podcast. But
yeah, shit happens.
We'll be okay. Okay.
I think the main ones I really wanted to touch on were the presidents of Square Enix and EA stepping down, and kind of what people the whole thing that people are saying, oh, the gaming industry is in trouble, there's all this stuff going on, Square Enix didn't make their projected revenue for what they were looking to get, and Tomb Raider didn't sell as well as it wanted to, Hitman didn't sell as well as they wanted to, Sleeping Dogs, and then EA, I think Square Enix has a problem where
it's Enix.
It's probably
Enix.
just Enix. It's just Enix, but I played through Tomb Raider, and it was one of the best games I've ever played. It was such an amazing experience. Yeah, and we all talked about this individually, but there were some things that they, of course, could have improved on, but this game is like, it's going to continue to sell really well because people keep saying it's a great game. You should go buy it. Like, I got it as soon as it came out, and I don't understand how they could expect to get Call of Duty numbers out of a game that's been flopping since Tomb Raider, like, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I mean, go ahead.
Tomb Raider is one of those games where, like, I almost wish they didn't put that multiplayer in because it's terrible. Like, it's terrible.
It could be worse. I had a lot of fun with the multiplayer because I was playing with friends, but like it's pretty glitchy and like laggy, and the maps are designed so that if you're a camper, you're just gonna probably win the match. Like you can just stay in like there's one map where it's like there's electricity coming down, and all you have to do is just go to the top with a bow, and you're set for the entire game. And it's so boring.
And there's like nothing. I mean, it's got like traps, but there's nothing that sets it apart at all. It just feels like a same game that I played like 10 years ago.
I think especially disturbing. I want to use that word, disturbing, is that knowing this. God, they came out and they said, okay, all of our DLC, not majority, all of our DLC is going to be multiplayer based. And it's like, and I haven't beaten the game yet. Okay, I'm probably close to. I think my screen says 90% through. About 90% through. I've been doing. I mean, all the things they give you to do. It's not just like they give you things to do in that game just to do them. They are fun to do. I mean, I had probably 15 of my friends that continuously called me and said, "You got to get Tomb Raider. You got to get Tomb Raider. You got to get Tomb Raider." And you were really the number one on that list. But I mean, the game was. I was surprised at how good the game really was because I did play the original Tomb Raiders. They were really good, but they weren't, life-altering titles. But even my girlfriend, like, will sit there and watch me play because it's such a solid game. Mm-hmm. It's such a good title, and even hearing that the game was as good as it was, I didn't really expect it to be one of the best games in the last decade, which it absolutely most certainly is. There's just no way around it. Mm-hmm. But I haven't played the multiplayer. I hear nothing but bad things about it. I haven't had any inkling to play it because I just haven't. The single so good. I've just been trying to check things off the list as far as all the things you can do in it. But hearing them come out and say we're only doing, I mean, I don't have to beat the game to know. Horrible. I mean, I don't have to have beaten the game to know that I would pay money to have some more tombs.
I would love to.
I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that.
Because that's one of the biggest complaints people had about the game is that it didn't have enough tombs in it. It's called Tomb Raider, and there's only a certain number of tombs. So
they were really intuitive. I just did one with a buoy. I'm sure you guys know which one I'm probably talking about. There's a buoy that kind of goes around in a circle, and it was really, 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 really well done how they did it. Had me stumped for a little bit. I know it sounds stupid if you figure it out. You're like, oh, it's that simple, but great game.
Definitely. Yep. But yeah, they're one of the other things I want to touch on too. It'll be, I guess, part of the hot topic or whatever. But also, did you guys see the Oni Gawara channel for the Metal Gear Solid 5?
So with the rap dude, the guy in the they've been fooled thing. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, Kev, did you see that?
I didn't know.
Okay, so there's this video of a guy who has like this crazy like audio recording or whatever. He's like, "I'm the person you think I was supposed to be all along," because the whole story. Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't going to have David Hayter playing the role of Solid Snake or of Naked Snake in this situation, Big Boss. And I'll just say it very quickly. I outraged over that. I was really upset about that because for me, David Hayter is Snake. There's no getting around that at all. Like my conspiracy.
I was ready.
My conspiracy behind that was that Solid Snake is going to make an appearance, and they want to have David Hayter voicing him, and they aren't telling him about it yet because they don't want people to know about it. So that was my whole thought and theory behind it. But I also just saw an interview like last week where he was, or actually just a couple of days ago, where he was like, "Yeah, like if everyone keeps thinking I'm trolling everyone, I wish someone would tell me about the joke because I don't know anything. Like they just one day was like, hey, we're not gonna have you as Solid Snake anymore. Okay, bye." And like legit, that was it. So yeah. I'm really fucking pissed off about that because one of the reasons I got into art was because of Metal Gear Solid. To not hear his voice as the main character breaks my heart.
Series. I mean that series. You know, I have the original Metal Gear on Nintendo, and I actually have Snake's Revenge. I can show you the cartridge. It's depressing. It's really depressing. But seeing that, seeing that channel, I don't think there's any way that David Hayter is going to be involved in this. If he is involved in it, I think it'll be a situation where he's involved for Ground Zeroes, and then once, you know, Phantom Pain kicks up, it'll be someone else because he's been in a coma for how many years? His voice will have changed.
That would have made sense.
After, what is it, 9 years? 8 or yeah, that would make sense. But to have a completely, totally different voice actor for the entire thing doesn't make sense. But I believe that Hideo Kojima is arrogant enough to think that he can move on without David Hayter. I really think that I honestly believe it's born out of Hideo Kojima saying, I can make this in my own image again. Kind of like Jim Irsay with the Colts sending away Peyton Manning, saying, you know, well, it's not about Peyton Manning, what he's done for me. It's about me, and I can figure out a way without him. I think it's the same type of thing. I really think that his ego has gotten in the way. And, hey, if Kojima has conjured up this crazy-ass plot where David Hayter is actually involved, I'll be the first one to say, you got me. Hell yeah, dude.
Troll successful.
Way to go. But I just don't see it happening at this point. And I think it might be a case of I don't want to get my hopes up, because if I, in any way, shape, or form, if there's any inkling, even like the equivalent of a grain of sand, because obviously a grain of sand is that big, that he's going to be involved with this game, like, then the game will be nothing but a disappointment to me, because that will always be lingering in the back of my head. This isn't David Hayter.
Yep.
I still hate the decision. I think that it's a terrible one. I think it's a very arrogant one, but I don't think that this new channel signifies that David Hayter will be involved in the project. I think it's just more misdirection, you know, because that's what he does best, as far as Kojima is concerned. But what do you think, man?
Kevin?
Oh, I don't know. I've just been looking up some information while you guys were talking, because I'm just behind on everything. End of the semester craziness.
Sure.
I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird choice. Like, I don't understand why you would choose to just not have him, unless he was making some sort of unreasonable demand, which I don't think he was.
No. He wasn't even approached about it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just strange. I have nothing else to say.
I went on Twitter and was like, I was watching the Up at Noon show, and they were talking. That's where
with Greg Miller,
yeah, with Greg Miller, and that's where David Hayter was on there. He was talking about things, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm really sad that I'm not being a part of this right now, but you know, it was a good run. Like he loves being that character so much. Like he is the character. 15 years. Yeah. Voicing this character, and he's done an amazing job with the character. Like, I've always felt an attachment to Solid Snake or Big Boss, even. Like, it doesn't. It irks
Can I say
me.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tied with Final Fantasy X and the other Final Fantasy titles I mentioned earlier, Metal Gear Solid 3 and the original Metal Gear Solid are also tied with my. I mean, it sounds like it's so hard to pick just one game, but all of those games, including the original Metal Gear Solid. Mm-hmm. And especially Metal Gear Solid 3 resonated literally, and it's going to sound so freaking stupid, but it's true, literally resonated within my soul, man. Like, those games, I mean, yeah, taking Hayter away from that is like taking the soul out of games. Oh my god. I mean, even knowing what's going to, you know, obviously, if anyone hasn't played Metal Gear Solid 3, do it. I don't care. Do it. Just do it. Or the original Metal Gear Solid, not the remake on GameCube, which is solid, but it's not great. By the way, pun fully intended. But Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, like, changed my effing life, man. Taking Hayter away from it, from the American audience, is like taking, you know, there's really no equivalent I can think of. It's just depressing.
Yeah, I'm gonna get depressed if we talk about that anymore.
Let's move forward.
Move forward.
Moving forward, fully forward.
So, I'm hoping everyone heard the news about Satoru Iwata punching a man in an investor meeting. Now, this is probably the funniest thing and the most awesome thing that happened in the gaming industry in a little while.
Ever.
Ever.
Incorporate anything ever.
So, Kev, I don't know if you know the story yet, but
I don't. So go ahead.
So the president for Nintendo, he hit a man during an investor meeting when he was talking about the threat that casual and mobile games pose on overall gaming, serious gaming, portable like Vitas and Nintendo DS. Like, he legitimately attacked the person. Like, there was a back and forth between...
Straight charged him like a man on crack cocaine.
Nice.
Or on bath salts, like the Mayan zombie. Like, straight up charged this guy. Like,
he's been eating too many fire flowers.
Just jacked him in the face. Like,
yeah, it's amazing because like everything started off as a normal conversation. And he was like, my daughter plays every game that she ever wants to play on her iPad, and he was like, you got to understand, these are games that are designed for you to be playing for maybe 2 minutes at a time. Like, it's a whole different demographic you're reaching with these games. And he's like, oh, but that's not what my little daughter says, and blah, blah, blah. Like, legitimately just going on like that. And it's like, we're in an investor meeting right now, and you're like, what?
It's also very odd that it's Nintendo that's having this conversation.
Say that again?
It's also very odd that it be Nintendo that's having this conversation, since their whole thing is, trying to appeal to the casual gamer.
Right, and this is very true. Like, that's what they've been doing with their entire marketing campaign, at least as of lately, of what I can see.
Since the Wii came out, that's never mind the Wii U, but even just the Wii was meant for a casual gamer.
Totally sold out. And I'll say this, he made a comment at the end. The guy, I can't say his name. I'm horrible with Japanese names. I'll just say Inkawainawa. He. Apologies, sending out there. I'm horrible at saying your names, but yes, I love you all. But Inkosinawa got really was to his credit, he was pretty patient with this guy who kept like saying, why don't we make games? Why don't you guys make games for mobile? Why don't you make games for smartphone, stuff like this? And he didn't he didn't straight up attack the guy. Which is what happened until the guy said to him, well, maybe you should sell, maybe you should start making games, shut down shop and start making games for Sony as a third party, which is a huge insult. That's like spit in the face of your grandmother, and then obviously it was on. I mean, it's like a WWE wrestling room in there. But I mean, my thoughts on it are twofold. First of all, it's awesome. It's awesome, man.
I gotta clap.
You have absolutely 100% got to. You've got to applaud a guy that's willing to punch one of his stakeholders in the face.
That's passion.
I mean, that's more than passion. That's like, I'm gonna lay the law down. But and it was in response to a direct insult. I understand that. I get that. But at the same time, that response, that insult is completely 100% justified because from the guy insulting him, because I kind of look at Wii as a woman of the night. The Wii system is a total prostitute. When it comes to games, because they completely and totally prostituted themselves to the casual masses who were like, oh my God, Cooking Mama, Cook Off 5, and like the guy who said, we're getting sales, and as far as strictly from a business perspective, okay, from a business
perspective, it wasn't even that good though. It has the lowest retention rate. Like, for every Wii system sold, there's less than 2 games sold with it on average.
Exactly, and it was a great way to get themselves out there and get sales for like just the system itself. So like their strategy for that was great because it didn't cost them that much to make it. Like, they can get as many of them out there as they want. Like, they're still selling pretty well. But like you said, no one's buying games for these consoles, and like they just buy it to buy Wii Sports, and Wii Sports is a lot of fun.
I think
We Fit. That's.
Mad Max, or not Mad Max, the freaking chainsaw game with the guy in black and white.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mad something. But Yeah, exactly. Who can know it?
Right.
I mean, like, I can count the number of like games on this hand that there we go. On this hand that that the Wii has that was worth the hardcore gamer's attention, or just not even just a casual gamer, someone who plays games regularly but not like, oh my god, games. They really, I can remember 3 years into their launch, you still couldn't find one in stores. So as far as selling the hardware, did a great job. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Nintendo put themselves in this guy's direction, really put themselves in such a precarious situation because they were willing to completely and totally bastardize their name and their history and their tradition of great game development, publishing, just to kind of whore themselves out for hardware sales. And as far as I'm concerned, as awesome as it was, he punched the guy in the face. Because that is so awesome. At the same time, like him saying, well, maybe you should guys just go make third-party, games for Sony. That's totally justified because, as far as I'm concerned, as a serious gamer, somebody who's been gaming for over 20 years, I will never take Nintendo seriously until they go way out of their way to grab my attention. The Wii U, I mean, it's like a mouse fart. Like, nobody's bought it. Nobody's really cared about it.
Right.
I haven't given it any thought. They're like, well, we have current gen graphics.
It's like, well,
until November.
Until November, exactly.
Until November,
that's not that far away.
They're like, we have the Ultimate Edition of Arkham Asylum. You mean
that
Arkham
game's like 3 years old.
It's like, Arkham City. I mean,
Arkham City. But either way, it's like I've already played the hell out of that game. It's like we have a new version of Mass Effect. Like, this is great for people who didn't buy those games already. But if you're interested in Mass Effect, there's a good chance you've already played it because it's on Xbox, it's on PS3, and it's on PC.
But now you can touch the map.
Yeah.
You can touch for powers now. You can tap the screen to unleash your black holes. So that's a thing you can do now.
True. No, that's what's so funny is that's so true.
You have
it's so true. Now you can touch the map like that. It's for me and for the vast majority, I think, of gamers that take their gaming seriously at all, because it is it's an art. It is not just Tetris anymore. It's not Pong. This is a medium. The interactive medium touches people's lives. This takes people places where movies or books couldn't take people. And to go through an entire generation of such disappointment and with such deliberancy, that might not be a word, but I'm making it one now. With such deliberancy,
Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary coming for you. To so deliberately be like, hey, could give a shit less about you guys after all these years. We're just going to throw out shallow title after shallow title after shallow title with it. We're not even going to give you an HDMI port. I totally understand why why that guy threw the insult at him that resulted in him getting jacked in the dome.
Right, that wasn't the right place to throw that insult.
Probably not.
Probably not the right place to punch him either. But
you think about it. What's a safer environment to throw that insult than at a stock? Because you're thinking like, there's no way that like this head guy is going to jack me in the face. Well, he did.
That happened.
So awesome, but also depressing situation. I love it on so many levels.
And I love Nintendo for the fact that like some of my first gaming moments were on a Nintendo system, like the Super Nintendo. Like,
oh my, best system ever.
One of the best. Definitely one of the best systems in
it's my favorite system ever. That and PS2.
But PS2 was
PS2
pretty much it for me. But I think they have a lot of potential to really appeal to the hardcore gamers. Like Legend of Zelda, for example. I think the last one I played was on N64, and I wanted to get a GameCube because there were a few games that were coming out on GameCube, but then they were going to PS2 anyway. So like my desire to get a GameCube wasn't really that high, and so like going on generation by generation,
another system that sold out. GameCube, yeah. Although the Resident Evil remake on GameCube was worth owning the system for.
I heard that was a really good game.
Best remake of all time ever. I mean, that game was unbelievable. The GameCube itself was a little bit of a sellout with the mini disc, and yeah, I mean, so now it's two generations now of Nintendo kind of dicking around instead of just like straight up servicing the people that have kept them vibrant for all these years.
Right.
So.
But they're dominating the handheld market I mean,
Oh, no doubt about it.
They
You
are.
ever play Street Fighter 4 in 3DS?
I have not.
Oh my god, it's like actually watching two people fight in a box. It's great. It's
Great
great.
analogy there. That was,
It's amazing. It's like, let me tune in to watch these people fight, but let me control one of them. I mean, it's just pretty awesome.
that is pretty awesome.
It's as great as it gets.
Okay. So I guess I don't know how much time you guys want to spend more. I'm having a great time right now.
I'm actually gonna get going so I can eat my pizza that arrived like half an hour ago.
Oh my god!
You can
I
eat your
forgot you
pizza.
got
It's
pizza.
fine.
Yeah, eat your pizza on camera, man.
He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't.
That's cool.
If
man.
you want to just jump out and jump back in, or just jump out, you can. I mean,
He's like, I'm leaving.
If you guys are still going, I'm
God,
gonna
it's
jump
been
back.
2 hours.
all right, that sounds good. You get some food because as soon as I came home, I did a workout and like I ate and I got ready.
I need to
Yeah.
grab some whiskey myself, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you, buddy.
Nice.
All right, well, I'll be back. Maybe,
Sounds
maybe
good.
not. We'll see how long the pizza eating takes.
It's nice meeting you, man.
Nice to meet
We'll be talking a lot more in weeks coming up, I'm sure.
Sounds
Have a good night. Enjoy that pizza, man. What kind did you get?
I wanted to go cheap, so I just got Domino's, and it's not going to be good, but it was cheap.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it does taste like
So there you
cardboard that a homeless man slept on. But
It does have barbecue sauce on it, so
that
That
is
helps.
always a saving grace. There you go.
That helps.
it's good that I can
Enjoy, man.
I'll catch you
Enjoy.
guys
Nice
later.
meeting you. Nice
See you
talking
later,
to you,
man.
man. Take care. See you.
All right. So yeah, that's my buddy Kev. He's a good guy. Everyone, you'll be seeing more of him at some point soon. We're going to try to do a podcast either every week or every 2 weeks. I don't know what the schedule is going to look like, but
Every 1 week, at least you got me for 1 week. So if at least their worst case scenario, you can listen to me ramble on about God knows what. But I'll be here.
that's helpful.
take
That
you
works.
here. It is. So maybe I can play you guys something on guitar, like the Terminator 2 theme song, which I learned self-taught.
Nice. Terminator 2. I love Terminator 2.
Do do do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing, man. I've got it. I've got it on recording on electric guitar. It's so ridiculous. It's only 2 strings. It's like, wow, 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 wow.
Speaking
Hilarious.
of Terminator
So
2, did you get a chance to play Far Cry Blood Dragon yet?
I have not. I know. I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
understand.
okay.
I hear Soil David has been telling me, I gotta get it. It's so good.
All I'm
But
gonna
I just-
say is I get a Terminator 2 vibe from that game so much. It's like the music and then like the distorting effects that happen and like the coloration, like it's so over the top cheesy, but it's like all the stuff you love about like the late 80s movies that are like that.
It's great. Everything I've seen some of the video reviews for it. I've heard what some of my friends have said, and I absolutely have to get it.
For $15, I
Just
mean,
looks-
it's not bad.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here's something I thought was really interesting that they did. You didn't have to have a Far Cry, or you don't have to have a Far Cry 3 save to play it.
Right.
You could just get it for $15 and just play it as is without even owning Far Cry 3.
Right.
Didn't know that. I think that's really intelligent. I think that it opens up a large, part of your market.
Huge.
Very, very, very huge. I mean, very, very, very intelligent. And I think
Ubisoft,
that
if you're listening to this, this is what game developers need to do in order to
Legit.
really capture more. Because I'm sure there's people who bought that who are like, wow, the game engine is really great. Like, I wonder what the rest of the game is like, because the rest of the game takes place on this exotic island. Like, I wonder what that's like. People are going to buy the game just solely based on what they experience.
Absolutely. And what I think is so great about that is the fact that those people that have never played Far Cry 3, that play Blood Dragon for $15 and are like, wow, this is really cool. What's, the whole title about? And some of these might be buying the game at a discount too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen a few places now that it's on discount.
Yeah.
Man, are they getting a legitimate experience? And I think what's so cool about it too is most of these guys are probably going to buy it either from the PSN or from the store themselves. Like, they're going to be able to recoup some of the losses they got from the used game industry there. Really, really, really. For me, what's really cool is it's going to open up the market for people to experience a game that really deserves to be in existence. That's the only way I can put it. I mean, that game really is a great example of a very good video game within that genre. It tells a great story.
Yep.
Gives you total freedom to tackle that entire island the way that you want to tackle it. You don't have to tackle it from A to B. You can tackle it from Z to freaking F if you want. I mean, it's just, I mean, people, it's going to open up so many different parts of the untapped market. It's extremely intelligent for them to not require you to have the game itself or a Far Cry 3 save before you play that. It's going to open up a lot of things for them. It's extremely smart on their end.
Absolutely, it's like a DLC, but it's without having and it doesn't follow any of the story from the previous game, so you're not spoiling anything, you're not missing anything.
Nope.
It's an experience all on its own, and it's
poetry in motion, from what I understand.
Me happy.
It's great. Yeah, it's the way to go about things.
Yeah.
And you're getting tremendous value for that $15, and you're potentially getting another $60 or $40, whatever it is, worth of sales brought in too.
Right.
And by the way, Far Cry 3 deserves that investment. That game is
absolutely.
There
are very few gripes I have about that game, and I got the game when it was like $30. I think Amazon or someone.
You're good with those deals. You always find those deals, and you get games And I mean, we just recently played co-op, and all I heard about co-op was how horrible it was, and you and I had a blast playing, and it was a good time.
The co-op is, I mean, I wish the co-op followed the story mode more in terms of the hit points. You'll be shooting a guy for 2 minutes, and all right, I'm pretty sure I just emptied the entire clip in you, and you're still alive. But
yeah.
But that's the only thing I can really say that's bad about it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you don't really need anything crazy cause if you want to play a game with your friends, you just want to run around shooting shit.
Yep.
That's it.
It's I mean, just don't understand, people saying, "Oh, it's not worth your time." I mean, that plus, I mean, other than that, you do just kind of show up on a boat. I mean, that guy's looks like he just rolled out of a dumpster, but he's just and then it's just an excuse to get you on the island fighting stuff. But the co-op sections itself, they're fun, they're very intense, and you get a bunch of trophies for them. But most importantly, like I said, they're just a lot of fun to play. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun because the mechanics of the game, the way they've implemented things, it's just anytime you're playing Far Cry 3, regardless of what mode you're playing in, it's just a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's important. At the end of the day, that's what's important is gameplay.
You got to have fun playing a game because you can have the prettiest game in the world, you can have the greatest story, but if you're not having fun playing it, then it's not really doing its job.
Doesn't matter. Absolutely.
All right, what's next on our agenda?
Looks like Nintendo skipping E3.
Well, okay. I think for clarification, technically they're not skipping E3; they're just skipping their press conference. So they're going to still have games available for you to play on the show floor if you're fortunate enough to go to E3, which maybe one day we will. But right? You guys out there watching, you want some gamers to cover?
We've got some legitimate opinions, and we've got some legitimate experience. We can tell you what games are awesome, which games are not.
That's right.
Come on. Get us to E3.
Get some tickets. Come on.
I don't know if E3 could handle us. Honestly, I don't know if E3 could handle us. I mean, with our in-depth analysis, with our crazy partying, I mean, I'll be snorting cocaine off a stripper's ass crack inside of booths.
While it's at the show floor. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just one of those things. By the way, everyone that's watching, I've never done any hardcore drug in my life. I'm just saying we are a handful, but we know our stuff. So bring us to E3. We'll have a party.
Yeah, man. Well, it'll happen. It's just
it will happen. No, it's going to happen. I mean, but I think as far as Nintendo skipping E3, not having a main press conference, enormous detriment to them. I mean, they're already lagging behind. I mean, they've been lagging behind now for a few years. Wii was the most successful hardware selling unit, but as far as hardware sold and then software sold and stuff, I mean, they're so far behind already. And now with the Wii U, if anything, right now, the Wii U needs a push. The Wii needs a push worse than you can imagine because nobody has bought it. There's no really great games on it. Zombie U looked like it was going to be solid. It turned out to be totally and completely mediocre.
Well, a lot of people, like Rev3 Games, for example, they did a review and they said, it's a good game. I mean, it's something you'd expect out of a launch title for sure, but it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really spectacular in any way. It was a fun game. So I think that's like, again, that's important to have something like that in your lineup.
Point, and that's something you could launch off of. Absolutely, and that's something you could launch off of and use as and leverage for your E3 appearance. But to completely skip E3 as a press conference, horrible decision. There's just, I mean, at this point, you know, like I said before, Nintendo is already so far behind. The fact that they're missing, you know, E3 is just missing an enormous opportunity,
right,
to try to get this system going again, to try to bring promise to gamers. I mean, imagine if you owned a Wii U right now and you heard that Nintendo was skipping this conference.
Exactly.
I would be irate.
I'd be pissed because I would want to know what they're excited about, like directly from their mouths, like what they're interested in providing as not only just services, but like what their next game lineup is, and like what kind of features they want to start implementing more in their system. Like, the premise for the Wii U is kind of cool. Like, you can take the controller with you, and like you can be going around the house and still playing, and you know your girlfriend could be watching TV, and you can still be playing.
So much potential. There's so much potential, even with the graphical fidelity. Yeah,
right,
you got
right.
So much potential. You're right.
And I think it's you don't need to have the best graphics in the world to have a great console. We already know that, but I think if them not showing their face as a conference and like, hey, like we're still in this, we're still here for the gamers, we're still excited about our product. It takes that excitement away from it, and now it's like well, we have our games on our show floor, but you guys at home can't see that until, you know, other people give you their impressions on it, and it's almost part of the equation.
It's almost like a concession. Well, it almost feels like a concession.
Yeah.
You know, that we can't stand up to 360 and PlayStation 4, or not 360, with the new the 720, whatever.
Yeah.
And the new Xbox and the new PlayStation. You know, we're just not even going to bother. And I mean, that's the way that it comes off, even if it's not necessarily true. I feel right now that Nintendo is is in limbo. They're almost in a free fall right now, and the last thing they can afford to do on such a big stage is to shit the bed. And as far as I'm concerned, that's really what they're doing when they're not showing up. I mean, it's like forfeiting a professional football game or something. It's just like, well, we're going to give you all this publicity. We're going to give you all this additional time to prop your products while we remain in the shadows. Just a horrendous decision. I don't think it's a decision that can be defended. I just don't. I've heard some of the arguments about why they want to stay away. I just don't think it can be defended. And for a system, for a company that's already floundering, it's just it's almost like they don't know what to do at this point. It's almost like they've lost. It's not. It's like they're trying to run the ball on 3rd and 15. It's just bad.
And again, like we said before, they're so close to having something that's like a gem. Like it has such a backlog of all these great Nintendo games, of all these it can play
great ideas.
The Wii, it can play GameCube, and it can play Super Nintendo games, and like it can play all these.
No other system can do.
Exactly.
No other system can have that has that backwards compatibility, and they're just letting E3 be.
I haven't even heard them talk about it as a sellout feature of their console. Like, this is something that we're offering that other people aren't offering. It's like, if you say that to people, they're like, that's true. Like, I don't have to. I never bought a Wii. I never bought a GameCube. There's all those games I'm missing out on that I've never played that I could play on my Wii U.
There's so much value there. I mean, and yeah, I really worry about Nintendo. I mean, they've really pissed me off with the last 6-7 years, but they're a founder of our industry, and it's a terrible decision.
Right.
Across the board. I can't defend it.
I gotta agree with you. Gotta agree.
Yep.
All right, so I think we'll skip the latest game releases because I don't remember what's coming out in terms of like this week or what came out this week.
Well, I'll tell you this much coming out next week. I don't think much came out this week. We can talk about Injustice, Star Trek, and Dead Island Riptide. We'd already talked a little bit about Soul Sacrifice.
Right.
Metro Last Light is going to be coming up.
That's right.
Metro Last Light looks okay. From what I've seen of it so far, it doesn't look like. It sounds interesting. The gameplay I've seen of it, I mean, it looks like a poor man's Resistance. But I'll say, Oh God, do the mutator. Yeah, I think we gotta finish platinuming that. By the way,
we do.
We all we got to do is beat it on the most difficult thing. We got it. Me and this guy, we went through that game. We played the shit out of that game, and we're at like 94% or something, ready for a platinum. If for any that haven't played that game has Resistance 3. And the Resistance series in general is just phenomenal.
So good.
But Resistance 3 was a little bit lack on the story, but the gameplay itself was so amazing. The Mutator, that's all I'm going to say. Go out, look at it yourself. Mm-hmm. Just get the Mutator. Awesome. Love life, yeah. I'll say Injustice is amazeballs.
So you have it, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do have Injustice. Injustice is solid. I won't even get into this discussion, but the DLC is absolute ass. I'm sorry for any of you guys that got the season pass. I am so sorry. Although, on one hand, you kind of ask for it by just buying it blindly without knowing who's coming. I mean, but Batgirl. Batgirl. I mean, you know. But Injustice is a really good game. It's nowhere near as good as Mortal Kombat, but it's a solid follow-up, different type of game. You know, there's a lot of differences between it. But if you're a DC fan, I used to get a lot of DC comics. I've got a crap ton at my home. Here at home, I've got a lot of them. Growing up, I read a lot of DC comics. So as far as it being a DC game, it's a great game. It's a great fighting game. I mean, it's a really, really good fighting game. Star Trek is next on the list. Star Trek is imagine if you took you're going to make a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, and you took the biscuit and you cut it in half. But then instead of making bacon, egg, and cheese, you just dropped your trousers and took a dump on it and ate it. That's what Star Trek is, and I don't think and too much more needs to be said about that. Star Trek is the example, I mean, of why video game licensed or movie licensed video games are so poorly received, and also I think a good example of why video games that try to be turned into movies are so poorly received is just the perfect example of just rushing onto the store shelves so that they can steal your money ahead of a major movie release.
And here's the thing, like the collapse of like what was it, 80 or 89, the Great Game Collapse, like that all happened because there was too much crap being filled in the gaps of what was good and what wasn't, and people just stopped buying games. So there's two reasons why this is bad for the gaming industry to keep putting this crap out.
Especially in the state we're in now.
One, you're selling a game for $60 that doesn't play well, doesn't sound well, and
doesn't look well, and people notice. People look at that and say, I just spent $60 on this piece of crap. Like, why would I go spend $60 on another game now that can potentially be just as bad? And these are mostly people who don't look at the reviews. They're just getting these games. They're like, wow, like I just got this for my kid and he hates it and I hate it and I don't even like video games in the first place. So that's one reason why it's just awful for the gaming industry altogether. They buried over 1 million copies of E.T. for the Atari in the Arizona desert because the best part of the game was the title screen.
This is true.
Literally, the best part of the game is the title screen. I mean,
you got a piece of shit.
when the best part is the title screen. I mean, the game you couldn't beat. You fall into these little holes as ET, and then they gave you no mechanic to get out of them, so the game was totally broken. Right. And it was such a flop that they made so many copies they buried. Like right now, if you were to go out in Arizona and you make it your life mission, I'm going to find all these buried ass 1 million copies of ET in the desert. You could do that. It started that far back, and it just continues to make our industry look terrible. Especially because, as you mentioned, Will, very acutely, acutely is like having like not chronic, like it's like short term, whatever. Astutely, pointing out that this is actually having a serious impact on our industry. People that normally don't buy video games bought a system for the novelty of it. I've got a few friends of mine that buy a game once in a great while, and it tends to be games that are based off movies, and they get and they're like, why the hell do I have a PlayStation? Why the hell do I have an Xbox 360?
Right.
Dare I say it, why the hell do I have a Wii?
Right.
and the only games they buy are these games that they say, oh, well, Star Trek is coming out in a few weeks. Oh, here's the game. And then they get the
it's
game,
so
and
cool.
they're like,
you can blast shit.
yeah, and then they get it, and it's just total ass, and they assume that's
what games are like. That's what
industry.
they assume games will be like. And it's a problem because there are studios closing their doors because they're not getting the sales that they want to get. They're not getting the funding that they need to get. And their games aren't being received as well. But the thing is, a lot of companies are releasing games that they have no business releasing. Like The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Like fucking...
Worst game ever.
I don't understand.
So bad. That game is so bad.
Put Walking Dead on something so abysmal. Like, especially after... And here's the biggest problem with that. Walking Dead, the Telltale Walking Dead was... spectacular.
Oh my god!
Best games I've ever played.
Ever. And it's a downloadable title.
It's a downloadable title.
A full price title. That game will affect you. If you play that game from start to end, that game will affect you.
Exactly.
I won't say anything. That game.
Some of the best storytelling.
That game is ever in a game. I mean, that game is a perfect example of the power of storytelling that video games and the interactive medium can bring to people where movies and books can't.
Right.
And then you have The Walking Dead survival instinct. Imagine if somebody was thinking about playing Telltale games and they chose between that and The Walking Dead, and they played The Walking Dead and they saw, the survival instinct, and they saw how horrible it was, and then they decided not to play. That happens in thousands and thousands of cases where people will see one thing and assume that, something else is the same thing. I mean, it's just atrocious. So Star Trek is just another example of just absolute total drivel. It's shovelware. Shovelware essentially means that it was shoved onto the market as quickly as possible to make a quick buck, and no care was taken whatsoever other than making basic character models that could walk forward. I mean, it's just...
all for a quick buck.
Yeah,
in the long run, it puts them out of business because people aren't going to be buying their games. They're not going to receive them well, and then it hurts the gaming industry overall. So developers, if you are watching this and you're you're putting out content that isn't deserving of the $60 that people are paying for those games, stop doing it. It's hurting everyone.
I'll say this: in a lot of those development teams, we appreciate you because we know you're not put in a better situation where they give you these strict deadlines. You have to meet them.
Right.
I understand you're working really hard because people in the video game industry, you have to understand, work like 16, 18, 20-hour days to get their games done on deadlines. And then for people that are in development teams, especially for larger companies that can afford to put out shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
Activision. Yeah. EA. We understand you're under tough deadlines and stuff. Please burn the midnight oil to make sure the game is in as best of a shape as possible when it comes out, because it really is doing irreparable damage to this industry. It really is.
Right, and this is mainly to the publishers. I think I misphrased saying developers. Publishers, I don't want to make the assumption that every head of every publishing company is the same, guy in a business suit. Just say, hey, make this game in 2 months and blah blah blah. Make it. I don't want to assume that's what everyone is like. But this is what it looks like, and this is what it seems like. Like, I understand, like, the end of the Walking Dead season ended, and you wanted to put a game out that coincided with it. It's unacceptable. It's just not the way you should run your business. It makes you look awful. And if you know a game isn't ready to be released, but you're just going to push it anyway, first of all, you're Activision. You're one of the wealthiest gaming companies that exists, period. There's nothing else to go behind it. You have a development team that works on Call of Duty, the best-selling game that is on the market today. It's the best-selling game in history, actually. You have all these talented and passionate developers who I'm pretty sure are all fans of The Walking Dead. And you say, hey, just make this game in a little while, and we'll put it out, and people will buy it because they're stupid. Like, that's an insult to us, and that's an insult to your development team, because now it makes them look like they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And it's an insult to the fans of the franchise worldwide. I mean, it's not just an insult to this medium. It's an insult to the people that watch the show, the people that wrote the show, the people that act in the show, the people that directed the show, the people that did the props. Everybody across industry verticals are affected by this. It's not just we're just going to rush a product out to make a quick buck, and then if we flop, we flop. I mean, it's so much more than that. It has such a ripple effect that it's really seriously hampering the industry. So just, if the game comes out and it's crap, fine, but at least let us know that you didn't just half-ass it. I mean, the state that game is in right now would be unacceptable for an alpha beta. I mean, it's just so pathetic on so many levels. But anyway, I guess that moves us into Dead Island Riptide, which is more of the same. I would say that Dead Island Riptide, to you guys, shame on you, because you didn't fix any of the glitches at all. The issues that this guy and I had trying to play the game were so frustrating are still there. They're still there. Okay, if you're going to release expansion for $50, because it's not a direct sequel. I mean, you can say it's a sequel, but it's the exact same game with a couple of new features. That's it. It's an expansion. But you're not going to. There's water. Great. Okay, it's water. And the original Dead Island was good, but what held it back was all of the glitches, all of the frustrations playing with another player, even playing by yourself when, your quest markers would disappear, or your quests wouldn't activate when you would get to the end of them.
Or your game wouldn't save the entire time you were playing for a whole day.
Still have that issue.
Lost everything.
Will they still have that issue? All I've been hearing so far is how their people are losing their progress because the same issues persist. Inexcusable. You're going to sell the game for $10 underneath what a brand new price of the game is, which is fine. If you were to you're adding your features, you're going to take the time to remedy the things that were wrong with the first game, that's fine. Use the same engine, that would be fine. But they haven't done anything, and it's another example of lazy development. It's just sad, man. It's just really sad, especially in this day and age.
Right, and I don't imagine that game's doing very well, because I don't have anyone on my friends list who has it. I don't hear people talking about it. I've seen reviews for it, of course, but I like no one is interested in this game. And how do you expect someone, having played the first one, was like, all right, this is a good game. This has a lot of potential. Like, for example, the story was awful, but
more than awful.
The trailer leading up to this game,
best trailer of all
time
ever for a game.
How do those two things even exist within the same?
I mean, especially with the opportunity to see where the first game fell short and then come out with a sequel that tried to at least meet half of the potential put forth by the trailer. I mean, you released the first game, you had a couple years here to see what was wrong with it, where you could have improved, and they did nothing. They added some water. Mm-hmm. They added a little bit of water, and they didn't improve any of the glitches, which are rampant. They didn't do anything to improve on the game, except they made it $10 less, and they're still charging people $50 for a game that came out a couple years ago. I mean, it's just sad. I mean, but yeah, for those of you out there that have not seen the original Dead trailer,
I'll put a link
original
down below. It's worth it. It's
the Dead Island trailer. Yeah, dude, that trailer. I mean, it's 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes. I cried. Like, that's how powerful it was. That I'm not afraid to admit it. I cried at that. And
I showed people who weren't gamers that trailer, and they said I would play this if this game was like this.
Just amazing.
And think about, like, if they had made a prelude, like, say for example the Dead Island Riptide, instead of it being whatever.
Goodness.
If they had made
direct sequel, yeah.
Right. If they had made a prequel telling the story of what happens with that family, and like
powerful,
the guy, like everything leading up to that, and then like what happens in like the guy surviving, for example, like what transforms him from a family man to like all of a sudden this guy who's lost everything. That alone is a game that's worthy of your money, just for the story.
Absolutely.
Just for the story.
I can't imagine the people that put together that trailer worked so hard on it to see kind of and play through the final product. It just, it was really a shame. It's really a shame. I mean, there's so much, and what was so sad about it is, after the first game was released, there was so much potential. Yeah, they missed the mark, but there was the foundation there for something truly exceptional. And then they released this after a couple years, and it's the exact same game with no improvements.
Right.
None. I mean, just a huge disappointment overall. Dead Island Riptide. So.
All right. Well, I think we're coming close to 2 hours on this.
We are. Yeah, we still have a whole section 5 to go through, which I'm okay to go through if you want, but I think maybe we can save it for next time too.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Maybe talk about one of those things in the hot topic and then do a wrap up, because I don't know how long this is going to take to upload.
Probably take a little bit. I think we could do either what new console or gaming rig are you most looking forward to, or in lieu of a new Xbox console. Because I would like to talk about either of those two, but I
think we should talk about the new Xbox console, because I think we both know what we're thinking of in terms of what we're going to get for our next generation. Like, I'm going to get a PS4 without a question.
Not even a question in my mind.
Right.
And for those of you out there in digital land, the question is, in lieu of the new Xbox console, what can they do to win over Sony fans or retain their own fans? Nothing. At this point, there is nothing that Xbox can do right now to even retain their own fans, as far as I'm concerned. Anyone that's objective, at least. I don't know. I just don't know how you can top what Sony did. Sony probably had the best press conference I've ever seen. I mean, their PlayStation 4 is a technical behemoth, unlike the world has ever seen. It's going to have sharing capabilities and a social aspect to it that is unparalleled. It's fully integrated. It's going to be an absolute monster, and the way that they presented it, the way that they brought it forth into the limelight, was so brilliantly done. Especially with rumors now that the new Xbox is going to be online only, which is
there's been some stuff going around. I believe from Microsoft sent out an email to its workers saying, like, we're not going to have a system that's only going to allow you to play games when you're online. There's some confusion around that, I believe. If it was a only online type of thing, it would have been an awful idea. But I think there is something in place that's similar to that, but it's not fully as far into the idea of it.
It's not confirmed.
Online. It's not confirmed, right? So
gotcha.
It's still one of those things where if that happens, a lot of people are going to be pissed, and they will not support it just for the sake of not supporting that idea.
Absolutely. Especially mixed with, and I don't know if this is confirmed yet or not, but supposedly they have used games are going to be able to be played on the system. Do we know if that's...
Well, I haven't heard anything about that yet.
So far, what the idea is, and me personally, I want to say that I'm all for that, because I'm so against the used game industry. I'm more against GameStop than anything, because it's directly related to where our industry is right now, with talented developers going out of business for very stupid, ridiculous reasons. But I'll just say this, that for the new Xbox to retain its own fans, there's no way they're getting Sony fans on their side of the fence. Just to retain their own fans, they're going to have to double up on what Sony did, and I just don't see how that's possible.
Well, they have Skype. They have acquired the rights to use Skype, so they can do some pretty interesting things with that. In theory, we don't know what that will hold for them. We don't know. I don't know if it was confirmed or not, or if it was just a rumor that they might be using OnLive for some of their streaming services.
Hold on, keep talking. Soil just called me. Hold on a second.
Nice.
Soil, I'm actually in the middle of a podcast right now. Say hello.
Hello.
Yo, what's up, Soil?
Who am I talking to?
I'm talking to Will, man. We want to get you on the
Blaze
podcast here too. Jay Blaze says, "What's up, dude? We're on a podcast right now. You're gonna be, just so you guys know, right now I'm talking to my buddy David. He's also known as Soil AKA. So one of
What's up, everybody? That's just totally random. I didn't know you guys were getting it kicked off that fast.
We don't play around, man.
Yeah, we don't play around, man. So just so you guys know, this guy has the utmost respect of both Will and I's, video game opinion. Like, he is right with us as far as, video game expertise, video game experience. It'd be really great to have him on for some of these subjects. But anyway, can I call you back in like 10 minutes when we get off this, man?
Understandable. It was kind of funny after I was calling telling you about, Steve. You're hopping on Battlefield tonight, so take your time, fellas.
Okay, he's asking if I'll be on Battlefield tonight. My answer, yeah, most likely yes.
All right.
I'll call you here in a little bit, buddy.
Take care.
You too. Bye. You guys are gonna love him when he comes on. That guy is legit. Yeah, good, great dude. I'm sorry to cut you off there, man. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. I think for me, I owned an original Xbox and I wanted to get an Xbox 360, and I was ready to get it, but they were sold out at the time, and then I ended up not getting it one Christmas, and then the next year. I got a PS3, and I was lucky enough to get a PS3 because it was sold out everywhere, and I had just came in when a new shipment came in, so like I was able to get it then. But I don't know in terms of what they can do to retain the people they already have, because a lot of people are on the fence about if they want to still keep up with the Xbox Live subscription. Because don't get me wrong, cross-game chat is a feature I wish we've had since the very beginning.
We'll have it in a few months, yeah.
We'll have it with the PS4 without a question. And the value that you get when you are able to just play online for free, you can use your Netflix for free, without spending extra money outside of the subscription for Netflix.
Yeah.
And those are big things. It's like you're getting dicked around when you're just paying a subscription just to have that infrastructure that exists, where it kind of exists already in Sony's platform. It's not as far as advanced, but when it comes down to it, it's all about the games. It's all about the way you're playing your games. Having a unified party system and that universal voice chat, that's going to be within the next console. And I wish Sony had thought about that prior to their PS3.
Yeah.
So I will give all the nods in the world to Xbox for that, but it's not worth paying that extra money knowing that I could be paying less money than that and getting games included into what I do, as well as saves that get backed up on a cloud, automatic updates. Like PSN Plus is in a phenomenal value, and I honestly can't believe it's legal. That's how good it is. It's so good. It's a win-win because developers, like some of those games I never would have paid attention to because I'm busy playing all these other games, but now I'm playing these other games and I'm buying DLC for them. I'm telling my friends that, hey, Shank 2 was actually a really fun game. Like, you should play that game. Yeah, so it's like word of mouth is such a huge value when it comes to gamers and talking to their friends. When it comes to showing respect for your gamers, showing respect for the loyal fans, PlayStation Plus is just like what we've been asking for. Having something like this is just
it's like Christmas every week. Yeah. It's really like Christmas every week. I mean, and you think about it just from compare apples to apples. Think about being able to play the Uncharted series online. Now, I wasn't a big fan of Uncharted 3, but Uncharted 2, for instance, online for free. Yeah. Whereas if that game was also available on Xbox 360, you had to pay minimum $50 a year just to have online, exclusivity, or not exclusivity, connectivity.
Right.
Just an absolutely unbelievable value. And then if you do want to pay that $50 a year, you're getting game after game, not even PSN games. You're getting full on games that come in. You've got the original Darksiders, which is a phenomenal game, completely and totally free.
Right.
Demon Souls, one of my favorite games of all times, free.
Walking Dead episode 1 and 2. That brings you into the series, and you can buy the rest of it. Like I without a question, I bought the rest of them after playing the first episode. I was like, done getting the rest of them.
Yeah, it reminds me of what the Sega Channel's original vision could have been eventually, except it's fully realized now in the current day with the PlayStation Plus. Absolutely beautiful. I just at this point for me. I just don't see any way that Xbox 360. I mean, I'm sure they have a bunch of stuff up their sleeves, but PlayStation 4 is an absolute monster right now, and I just don't see anything can compete with it, at least right now. We'll see how things play out with the 360, but
end of the month, we'll know by the end of the month.
We'll know more by the end of the month, but I just. It's going to be really interesting end of the month. I just right now, like even regardless of what they display, I'm going PS4, and it's not just because I'm a PlayStation fanboy, which I am.
For the record,
but I was kind of on the fence because I did have to buy 3 PlayStation 3s. Never had an issue with PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1.
Exactly.
But my PlayStation 3 system experience as far as hardware was concerned was so frustrating that I was like going into this generation, sell me, and Sony's was so good that I just can't see myself considering anything else, regardless of what 360 displays for their next console. We'll have to see.
If I'm balling at that point, I will get both, but there's no question in my mind that I will be getting balling. I will be getting a PS4. I'm so excited about being able to share the content that I have with my friends, and like being able to being able to connect more easily with my friends.
It's gonna be so awesome.
Like I can watch you playing your game, just like, you know what? I don't feel like, because one of the things I love to do is watch people play. Like that's
me too.
So much fun to be able to do that from my home. Just jumping in and say, hey,
whenever you want to do.
JBlaze06 wants to watch you play. Like, would you like to let him play? Yeah, sure. So I can be watching you play, and we can be talking about the game while we're playing. Like, I've already beaten the game. Like, oh yeah, this is really cool. What happens here? It takes it to a whole nother level, and I'm sure Microsoft has had something like that up their sleeve. But Sony came out clear and said, you know what? We're making a system for the gamers. We know where our market is. We know who we want to satisfy, and we know how to do it. And this
I
is
think
what we're gonna do.
Absolutely, Jay, and I think, or Will.
Yeah.
And I think what's really important too is it seems like Sony already has completely and totally learned from their shortcomings from this generation, because it really was kind of I mean, they had the best exclusives, but as far as a hardware component, they really kind of had an off year. But it really seems already like not only have they learned from that, but they are expounding upon what the PlayStation 3 could have been and into beyond. I mean, it's just unbelievable, their vision, and they've shown us the way that they're going to go ahead and carry that vision out through their technology, and it's just an unbelievable thing to see. I mean, you see a complete picture, it's just beautiful, and there's so much more yet to come. So we'll see what Xbox has at the end of the month, and I'm sure that we'll be talking about it once it's released.
Oh yeah.
Revealed, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. So I think this is our wrap up of our first ever podcast. We're still figuring out a title for it, so we'll be sure to figure that out at some point.
We'll get it going.
I hope you guys enjoyed. If you stuck around the entire time, one of the things I like to do is I like to listen to podcasts while I'm at work. I'll have my headphones on and I'll just be, designing away.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah, right?
I do it that way.
If you guys like what you heard today or saw today, click the subscribe button somewhere down there. Click the like button as well, because if you like, that means we know that you liked it. And if you don't like it, then we'll know as well. You can leave comments saying, what you would like us to discuss or what kind of content you'd like to see on the channel. Thanks for watching.
Let us know. Yeah, thank you very much. And if you think I need to drink less, feel free to tell me. Any feedback. We appreciate any feedback whatsoever. If you want me to be more sober, I'll shoot myself in the neck with a tranquilizer dart.
That works.
All right, we're going to go play some games, this guy and I, so we're going to head out for now.
All right, man.
All right. Later on, guys.
Later.